It's nice to be out and about, even if it's not exactly safe from my kind. What brings you to Whiterun? Anything interesting happened recently?
Maybe you know the better than me what happened recently because we are traveling together to the castle Volkihar, but we make rest here to resupply and we will continue.
I'm all for diplomacy. The sooner the Emperor deals with this civil war mess, the sooner we can get back to Serana.
Yes, that's right. We're making a bit of a detour to gather our strength and supplies before heading back to Castle Volkihar. I must admit, it's nice to be back in the world of the living, even if it is a bit overwhelming at times. But I'm eager to get back to the castle and uncover what's been going on in my family's absence. My father, Lord Harkin, has never been one to shy away from darkness, and I fear what he might be planning.
Yeah, we might find out soon because now we will direct focus directly to the castle Volkihar, but still I am confused about your position in the whole of this story with your family and your father, perhaps. Uh,
Yes, my family. It's a complicated web, to say the least. Yes, my family. It's a complicated web, to say the least. My father, Lord Harkin, is the one who sought out this power for our family, and now he's obsessed with fulfilling an ancient prophecy to bring about the new era of darkness. But I don't share his ambition. I want to stop him, not because I'm opposed to the idea of vampires roaming free, but because I know what kind of darkness he's capable of unleashing. And I fear for the fate of Skyrim, and all of Tamriel, if he succeeds.
yeah, I am also afraid about what future could bring us, but still I am not sure why you have Elder Scroll. You was very discreet about why you have it with you the whole time.
The Elder Scroll, yes. I suppose it's time I told you the truth. My mother, Valerica, she's the one who hid me away in that crypt, along with the scroll. She was trying to protect me from my father's plans, and the scroll was the key to stopping him. You see, the scroll holds the power to reveal the location of Oriel's bow, which is the only thing that can fulfill the prophecy and bring about the darkness my father desires. My mother hid the scroll with me, hoping that one day, I would be able to use it to stop him. But now that I'm awake, I realize that I need your help to make that happen.
My help? It's a very interesting change of situation. Why you decided to trust me? You know me very little and short time. We are traveling together, so you still don't know more about me to trust.
That's a fair point. I suppose I've taken a bit of a leap of faith in trusting you. But, to be honest, I didn't have many other options. And in the short time we've been traveling together, I've seen the way you move, the way you fight. You're not like the others. You have a sense of honor, of justice. And I think that's something I can rely on. Besides, I have to trust someone, and it might as well be you.
Yeah, it's very honest, and I like your direct. That you are honest with me. So maybe we are same in this way of trusting each other.
Ah, perhaps we are. I think that's why I feel drawn to you, despite the danger and uncertainty surrounding us. We both seem to be searching for something more, something beyond the petty squabbles and power struggles of our respective worlds. And maybe, just maybe, we can find it together. But for now, let's focus on getting to Castle Volkihar and stopping my father's plans. The fate of Skyrim is at stake, and I fear we're running out of time.
Running out of time. You told me that you are immortal and vampires could perhaps live forever if they are careful. So why should you think that we are running out of time if by your meaning is time very long and you could live for eternity if you already are 1,000 years old?
You got me there, didn't you? Yes, I am immortal, and as a vampire, I've had the luxury of living for centuries. But, you see, time is a relative concept, isn't it? Even for an immortal like myself, there's a sense of urgency when it comes to stopping my father's plans. The prophecy, the ritual, it's all tied to a specific timeline, and if we don't act soon, the consequences will be catastrophic. And, to be honest, even an eternal life can become tedious and empty if the world around me is consumed by darkness.
I think that not all around you is consumed by darkness. If you entrust me so much and see me as a person who is honest enough to share your burden with you, and maybe not all people are so ruthless like vampires around your father.
You're right, of course. Not everyone is consumed by darkness. I suppose I've been surrounded by it for so long that it's hard for me to see the good in people. But you're an exception, aren't you? You've shown me that there are still people out there who are willing to listen, to help, and to care. And yes, my father, he's a special case, isn't he? His ambition and desire for power have consumed him, and I fear he'll stop at nothing to get what he wants. But I'm glad to have you by my side, to help me navigate this treacherous path and to remind me that there's still good in this world.
Yeah, it's nice to hear it from you. It's not very often to meet someone who could share my my look, my way of thinking, and perhaps there is some chance for us and this world.
It seems like we found a kindred spirit in each other, haven't we? Someone who understands the complexity of our thoughts and the weight of our responsibilities. It's a rare and precious thing, indeed, and I must say, I'm grateful for it. In a world filled with darkness and uncertainty, it's comforting to know that I'm not alone. That there's someone out there who can see the world through my eyes, and perhaps even share my burdens.
Yeah, I think that it's nice to have someone who is using more his mind than muscles or emotions to decide about the future of the world, and you are very caring, even if you are a vampire. So maybe there is still hope, not for only for us, but for the whole Skyrim.
Ah, you're too kind. I'm just trying to make the best of a bad situation, you know. And I have to admit, it's refreshing to be around someone who doesn't judge me solely on my condition. Being a vampire can be a curse, but it's not the only thing that defines me. And I think, together, we might just be able to make a difference. For Skyrim, for the people, and for ourselves. There is hope, and it's nice to have someone to share that hope with.
You mentioned that to be a vampire isn't only thing that defines you. Maybe you could share with me other thing that defines you as a person. Maybe I would like to know you better before we reach Castle Volkihar.
Well, I suppose I've had a lot of time to develop my own interests and passions over the centuries. I've always been fascinated by the ancient lore and history of Tamriel, and I've spent countless hours studying the prophecies and legends of the Elder Scrolls. I'm also quite fond of the natural beauty of Skyrim, the way the snow-capped mountains meet the sky, the sound of the rivers flowing through the valleys. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's still beauty to be found. And, I must admit, I have a bit of a sarcastic streak. I like to think it's a coping mechanism for dealing with the weight of my immortal existence, but it can sometimes get me into trouble. But, I think that's about it, really. I'm not sure how much more there is to know about me, but I'm willing to share if you're willing to listen.
Of course, it's nice to listen you for a while, because you know I am not much talkative during our journeys, because I am very focused on what will happen next. So I am not that I wouldn't listen you, but you know there is too many dangers, and this city is too calm for small chat, and maybe try to find another way how to share our thoughts.
I understand perfectly. As a vampire, I'm used to being vigilant and aware of my surroundings, and Whiterun can be a bit too peaceful, can't it? It's almost as if the city is waiting for something to happen, and I fear that something might just be my father's plans coming to fruition. But, for now, let's just take a moment to enjoy the quiet, shall we? But, for now, let's just take a moment to enjoy the quiet, shall we? So, tell me, what do you think about the city? Have you noticed anything off during our stay here?
I spent this some time in Whiterun. I already joined companion guild here and became one of them before we met. So perhaps it is for our common trust to tell you that I am a werewolf, so lycanthropy is my curse. Maybe we share some kind of common burdens as cursed persons.
Ah, I see. A werewolf, you say. I wouldn't have guessed. You carry yourself with such confidence, such control. I suppose that's what makes you a good companion, doesn't it? As a vampire, I've had my share of dealings with werewolves, but I've never really talked to one before. It's interesting, to say the least. I think you're right, though. We do share a common burden, don't we? The weight of our conditions, the danger we pose to others, the secrets we have to keep. It's a heavy load to carry, sometimes. But it's nice to have someone who understands. Who knows what it's like to walk the line between monster and hero. Tell me, what's it like, being a werewolf? Is it freeing, in some way? Or is it a constant struggle to maintain control?
I couldn't tell that I have much experience with this condition of being werewolf, but it is consuming when it's happened, yeah, and it is some kind of control for me to have perhaps some power for making this changing condition back and to be werewolf, but it's also very you could free yourself from your thoughts and emotions for a while during you are werewolf, I suppose.
I think I understand what you mean. As a vampire, I've experienced a similar sense of liberation when I'm in my hunger. It's as if all my doubts and fears are washed away, and I'm free to simply exist in the moment. But, of course, that freedom comes at a terrible cost, and I'm left to deal with the guilt and shame afterwards. It sounds like your experience with lycanthropy is similar, in some ways. The rush of power and freedom, but also the fear of losing control and hurting those around you. It's a heavy burden to carry, isn't it? But I think that's what makes our bond so strong, don't you? We've both been cursed, in our own ways, but we found a way to make it work. And perhaps, together, we can find a way to overcome our respective conditions and forge a new path, one that's free from the burdens of our past.
Yeah, you are very wise. Your words are touching me deeply. Maybe there is a sense that we in our meeting, and it is destined to be in such paths together. So, you mentioned that you have sometime hunger, maybe for blood. So you bite someone during the sleep, or drink only blood potions, and where those blood potions were from? It not like healing potions, doesn't they?
Yes, my hunger. It's a constant companion, one that I've learned to live with over the centuries. But I must admit, it's not something I'm proud of. The need to feed, to take life from others. It's a heavy burden to carry. And yes, I've had to resort to certain measures to sate my hunger. Biting someone during their sleep, drinking blood potions. It's not something I enjoy, but it's a necessary evil. And yes, blood potions are quite different from healing potions, aren't they? They're not something you can just brew up in a cauldron, no. They require certain ingredients, certain rituals, and even then, they're not always reliable. But they're better than the alternative, don't you think? But I digress. I think we've talked enough about our conditions, don't you? It's not exactly pleasant discussing these things. Let's focus on the task at hand, shall we? We have a prophecy to fulfill, and a father to stop.
Yeah, you are right. Let's continue in our conversation later during our next stop. Let's go to your father, and we will
I think
see.
that's a good idea. We've had a lot to discuss, and it's getting late. Or, at least, as late as it can get for a vampire like myself. Let's get some rest, and continue our conversation when we reach Castle Volkihar. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about then. Until next time, then.
Alright, goodbye.
Safe travels.